About me, I am the one that draws you in as I speak. Come closer, wipe the tear from your cheek. Sit down, come around, soon the sound will be gone. And the memory of me will keep you stuttering on, still stuttering on, and on, stuttering on. Let me tell you a story, a simple allegory. Time in purgatory, no more freedom for me. I must have been mad. I whispered in the ear of the one I couldn't have. I've talked with the devil, brought him down to his knees. Let me tell you about me. About your favorite song. I've sung with angels, I've spoken tongues. Now that you're gone, stuck here stuttering on. I said hello, let me tell you about me. I am the one that bows you in as I speak. Come closer, wipe the tears from your cheek. Sit down, come round, cause when the sound is gone, the memory of me will keep you stuttering on. But I talked with the devil, I brought him down to his knees. Let me tell you about me.
It's going to help if I unmute that sucker. All right, everybody. It's Tuesday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. It's amazing how fast 3-day weekends go. I mean, to tell you, it's just like a blink. And you're like, oh, Friday is going to be great. And then, because we got that whole 3 days ahead of us. And good Lord, it took like a minute and it was gone. And hopefully your weather was good. We did pretty good. Like it got better as the weekend went on, but it was a little chilly. I don't know. It's Memorial Day. It's hit or miss. So yeah, I'm not going to dally too long tonight. Let's see here. I had a pretty good weekend, and I got my buddy John Ryan from Coffee Talkin' Tech. He's sitting on the sidelines waiting to jump in. I'm excited for that. We're just kind of poking around a little bit, nothing too heavy. We want to answer your questions, have some discussions. We're looking forward to that. Maybe bring some talk on tech, gadgetry, some productivity. So, so John and I, we each had a project over the weekend. And we kind of we started talking about who was being more productive, because it's always like a competition between him and I. I don't know why it is. We're like brothers. We got to wrestle like every night, or we can't go to sleep. He's just a big guy, though, man. I always lose the physical part of this game, but I have him on the mental part. I can usually take him on the mental part. Oh, man. So anyway, we're going to talk about it, but he's been getting into vMix, which I'm very excited about. And we're going to discuss that. And we definitely want to have some interaction with chat on that tonight. So hopefully people will step in and out on that. And then I've been dipping into, I love productivity, and that's not something I've really touched on a whole lot. But as I've developed some channel scripts, I've realized that I think I'm going to be really beating that drum. And that's an interesting choice. But I love productivity. I like working with data, and we're going to talk about that tonight. I dipped heavily into Notion. I've been looking to get into Notion, the Notion app, for quite a long time. And no app is perfect, but I have to say Notion's pretty darn close. So I'm going to go grab John. Let's bring John in here, and let's see if we can do some wrestling. See, there he is. There's our man.
What's going on, everyone? How are we doing,
man? Good to see you. How was your 3-day weekend?
My weekend was good. It was a little rainy out in the weekend in general, but I just want to thank, it was Memorial Day, so I want to go thank all the veterans and the people that support our freedom. So
big deal, right? I mean, that's the thing. People lose track of that. We talk about, the 3-day weekend went fast and this and whatever, but the reason we're doing this is because of the ground we stand on, is brought to you by your
Oh yeah.
your vets who put the time and energy in there. My father was, he was a Marine, and it's just amazing what they have to go through and what they sacrifice. And yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I kind of slid on through that, but
Yeah. Well, my grandfather was a tail gunner, and he lost both of his brothers, one in Italy and one in Belgium.
all
And
right.
he was still there, and they sent him back because he was the last son in the family. So,
Oh
and
yeah.
what's crazy, we look back then, it's like all of them signed up for it and went to fight for our country,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like they were drafted. They did it on their own, which is a whole nother level of bravery, right?
That's a whole level of sacrifice to say, I'm not going to wait for somebody to come get to. And, that's funny because that is essentially the story of Saving Private Ryan, isn't it? Where they were trying to get the last son out
Yeah.
and back home. And I know that was a big thing, especially, well, really it's done now too. Right. So, but yeah, that was a big thing.
Yeah. And then actually with the internet, every information being so available, I did my tons of research, and I actually found out that his one brother was in Italy. I don't think anybody in the family knew, and I actually found where he was buried, saw his the cross they put up for him, and then also the one in Belgium. I found out he was in Belgium. So, and then I went back and found all the documents, that they signed up for the military. They signed off on their draft cards or whatever cards. They're not draft, but there's something else. So it was pretty awesome,
It is.
Is that Sammy?
Yeah, Sammy saying hi. I know that you and Sammy have been chatting a lot lately, so not exactly surprised to see him.
Yeah, Sammy helped me out this week. He's helped me learn things a little faster. I like to get into things myself because I think once you dive in personally, you remember things more.
Yeah,
but it helps to have someone to bounce more information off of. And he really cut my learning curve down a few notches. So it was pretty awesome. And it helped me learn faster with the vMix, that is. So
yeah, he's a student of everything streaming, and he just has that knowledge, that deep knowledge of like everything, it seems like, and he's very helpful. So Sammy, thank you so much for helping out with that. I'm really excited to get into vMix, and I have no idea how many people will come through here tonight, being a Tuesday after the holidays. But you and I need to catch up anyway and have a discussion, and as we move forward, and we both have been excited about
different
getting into
things,
vMix.
yeah.
What is your
that we've been doing? Because you've been working on the Notion for hours and hours. I've been working on the vMix, for hours and hours.
Right.
And so it's like everything, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
But I know this productivity app that we're using, I don't know if you noticed today, I actually dropped something else in there.
I was really impressed. I got, so here, I've been working on creating a video and a live streaming database and structure for us to have a flow and a system for our live streams. And of course, eventually video scripting and planning and editorial boarding. But so I just shared this with John, and John, not that he's apprehensive, but anytime you have a new app, it's like that old thing. You need to try this food. It's like, oh, I don't know. I got my favorites, but to your credit, I started seeing you commenting and getting in there, and I'm like, this is working already.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be proactive with it too. So, because I know it's going to help me, but it's like anything else, it's a bear for me in the beginning. And then I'm going to work on it more and more and slowly.
Here's the thing.
Get my toes wet first.
My 2 cents on these apps, and then now I have a different learning curve because I already, like, part of what I used to do was database management and building for like content systems. Like when I did Cold Fusion websites, that was what we tied together. So you're getting inside a SQL pretty good. I like that. I turned out I really like data management and manipulation and using that stuff to present and create efficiency, create automation in a way. I really like that. And I think as I've done my research down what we're trying to do, delegating to automation is one of the key aspects of trying to keep your head above water as we go forward.
Right.
You know, so
delegation of any form is going to make it so you have more free time to be more effective of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, and because we don't have assistants, we can't really delegate. And so what I've been really keying in on is what has been talked about a lot lately, and that is delegating through automation. And I think that's the one thing that can keep us moving forward at a nice pace. And the trick is not to get, like you say, down these rabbit holes of productivity so far that you're not productive. And you're so right. I don't want you to try to learn everything at once. I really want you to take little steps because, first of all, why overwhelm yourself?
I don't have a choice.
And two, you don't learn. Yeah, exactly.
I don't have a choice. This is going to be a little tough for me.
and two, let's be honest, you learn better when you're not rushing through something. Did you find that with vMix? You know, you had like, I will be your Sammy when it comes to Notion, and you will be my Sammy when it comes to vMix. And you're going to have to learn to laugh like Sammy and do that whole thing. And
Sammy could be my son, you know, so.
I know. Well, you don't know. He doesn't live that far away. Who knows what happened 17 years ago?
Oh, so
weird times.
The one thing I did notice, because right now, and I really forgot about this last night because I'm so into the streaming settings and setting everything up. And where's our names, by the way?
Oh, you know, hang on.
But look it, right? All I did is hook this shortcut. I'm actually hitting my space bar.
Okay. Oh, look at you.
Yep.
You got all keystroked out. This is a thing I don't get, you know, the StreamYard. I like StreamYard enough.
I do too.
But I got to say, why would you bury, you bury the display names at the bottom on the toggle?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, I don't understand that.
It's weird. It's not intuitive.
It's not the right spot.
It's a terrible spot. You should need it at the top where you can quickly hit a big button, toggle on and off, because you don't want it on when you're doing your overlays at the beginning and countdowns, and then you got dumpster dive to find it. Come on,
right. It is in a weird spot, and that's why and then the other thing was when I started up after weeks of you guys being able to see the chat, then all of a sudden the chat was gone. I was like, I don't even know where that button is. I was like, I had no idea. All right, so hold on now. Okay, let's say hi to Sammy. We said hi to Sammy, and I see my wife.
We did our hi to Sammy. Did you type back to him? Look at you. That was earlier.
Oh, yeah, that was a little earlier.
Oh, look at who's in the house.
Yep, that's my wife. How you doing?
Yeah. It's funny how the wives don't have their photos on there. They're like, oh, I don't really care about this YouTube thing enough to put my image on it. I respect it.
Well, no, they don't. Did I last year.
There's somebody who's got a photo on a deal right there, huh?
Yep. Ash,
her photos are. Have you noticed how polished Ash's photos are? I was looking at her new live stream. Love the colors. You know, I want to talk about that in a second, but I just noticed, like again, her live stream thumbnail and everything. I'm like, God, her photos are just. People can really take a class on how professional she's really taking that approach. I really appreciate her. Commitment to
thumbnails is a little bit of you got to learn it, and you got to be a little bit of an artist and pick up. I'm like learning what looks good because. I want to go into this later, but I don't want to jump the gun, man, because that just reminded something for me. But we'll go into this later. But yeah, she does a good job with that, and she uses the same trick I do in Canva. But I think she pays for it, but I don't. Where I actually have to make a copy of my picture, okay. And then I go in and I use a little method that lets you. Color your whole picture, and then I blur it out, and I put that I make that a little bit bigger, my second picture a little bit bigger that I blur out and everything, and I hide it behind, and that's what gives me the glow.
Okay,
it's like a little trick, that a lot of people do, and I do that because I don't pay for Canva yet. Because if I did, then I would be able to do the highlighting a little faster. I think now they let you.
That's another. We keep talking about the systems you got to put in place, man. It's the thumbnail system, the developing your video and scripting and planning for your system, and it goes on and on and on about how many systems you have to put in. And I just wanted to touch base on the colors. That's interesting. What do you think of my colors tonight, John? What do you think of
I think you have tweaked it, if I'm not mistaken. Because
you want to know what I tweaked? I
the green.
I tweaked 0 in the background, and what had happened was I did have a small vivid filter that was making me a little red. But here's the deal.
You look sharper late.
I do.
Yes.
I do look sharper.
Yeah.
Here's what I did. So my ISO was at 100, which is nice if you want to try to really darken out whiter walls in the back and kind of create that effect, right? But I did work with Brian a little bit, and I ended up jacking up the ISO to 250. And I actually moved everything down. Now my recording and everything now is going to be at 24 or the 23, whatever you want for this, the more of that. And but
do that because 60 looks so good. And I'm sorry,
this looks better. This looks better. Are you making fun of me or people who say 60?
Just I really, when people say those kinds of things, I don't feel like they really get the gist of everything, because I just don't, because I think it takes a lot to see the difference between 30 and 60. A lot. Like I don't think anyone would notice unless there was some heavy movement going on. And the same with 24, but the 24 is like what they've used in film for decades.
Yeah. Your eyes are trained to that. Now that's not what's giving me more detail. It is bringing that ISO up a little bit. I adjusted my shutter a little, and all of a sudden what happened was that things just kind of really became more natural.
Yeah.
And the colors, instead of fighting the colors in the background and trying to darken up my background, which I think people tend to do. Now, if I really want to do that, I need to paint in a darker color. And so rather than fight that, I decided to lean into it a little bit. And I actually like it. And by doing that, I think there's less degradation.
You have put a, you see, the whole thing is right. Yeah. Sometimes I feel that you were kind of blended into the background a little bit. Now I see a separation between and the background. That really brings everything looking a lot sharper in general. But people don't realize this, but like a lot of the new mirrorless cameras, a lot of the settings they recommend is like on average to have like a 400 ISO. They don't want you to have like the whole thought process of photography is like drop that ISO to 100.
Yeah.
And then the picture looks clear. But these new cameras, I mean, their ISOs aren't maxed out at like 3,000 or 6,000. Like it goes so much further. The dynamic it's just you can take these to a 400 and it looks really good, and it still does everything it should be doing. So
yeah, I mean, so I'm happy with it. I think it feels better, and for an A5100, I think this is a pretty good color combination, and the clarity feels better. So I appreciate the comment from Ash.
Yeah, you look good. You look good. You look sharp. Now, you on manual or auto still? You put it on manual, right?
I believe I'm on manual. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Okay. Oh, no.
So I suspect the ISO is a little bit more stuff to grab onto maybe, or see a difference, because when everything's dark in a sense, I think it gets a little bit tricky, especially if you got lights then jumping out everywhere. So
now you're letting the tracking system do a little bit better because your face is a little lighter too.
Yeah. And so the shot looks wider from where it's not wider. It's the same lens, but it might be an optical illusion because you're seeing more of the detail.
The corners don't look as dark, so it does look wider.
It does look wider because you're not losing that. And there's a little shift in the camera angle on accident. I'm missing. Usually I'd be more the other way, and there's another light back there, but whatever.
Is this your Sigma?
This is a 16. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
you look good. You look good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. He's less zoomed. I mean, I'm never zoomed in on the 16 when I stream.
You look like you're a tad back further though.
Yeah, I might be sitting back further.
I like it. It's good.
I think I did by design. I decided that was a little bit better than trying to sit on top of it.
Yeah.
So there was just some suggestions and some things I saw online. So, you know what? I appreciate it. You guys are giving me some good feedback and it's helpful.
So I took a ride too this week, and
You did.
yeah, I drove like 45 minutes each way to get a new lens.
Did you get a 16?
I got a 16 now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because I got this front camera, which is a 24 millimeter full frame.
Yeah.
And then if my wife ever needs to take this for any godforsaken reason, I was like, I always wanted the 16, the Sigma 16 for, you know, the M50. And so that would be a full frame 24-inch equivalent.
Yep.
And I picked it up, and this is it in the back right now.
Look at you. That's a nice wide shot there, my friend. That's
It looks good, right?
Darn nice. That's pretty darn nice.
So I am happy with it because I got it for $275.
Oh, what now? I paid
Yeah. Is that a steal or what?
Oh, you get some deals left and right. I'm so jealous.
I work it, man. I
know.
work it. So I originally saw it for the guy was selling it for 300, and then he's like, the lowest I'll go is 290. And honestly, I was gonna pay it and just go meet him. But then weeks went by, and I wasn't able to get up there, and it still wasn't gonna go. So the thing is, right, the Sony mount for the 16 mil usually sells a lot faster than the EFM mount for the Canons, right?
Yeah.
And so he didn't sell it yet. And so honestly, they've been selling a little bit less. And so I was able to pick it up for $275, and it looks brand new. And the guy that I picked it up from, the nicest guy, he came in to the diner. We met my wife, and we're all hanging out. He does live streaming for his church in Pearl River, New York. Yep. And so he was talking about the A10 Mini and talking about all kinds of stuff. And he's like, oh, we could go for hours, you know? And so he was a great guy. And I gave him his money. He had a great looking lens, and that was the end of it. So now I got my 16 mil. Then I got my vMix. And then, someone stole my wireless HDMI setup at B&H from underneath me. They bought it right out from underneath me.
I want to cry for you, but you've had a good run. You've had a good run. I've had some bad luck this year trying to get gear back doorways. I had someone kind of rip me off earlier in the year, and I got my money back, but it was a real bummer. Sammy wants to know if I got a beard trim. I did. I think that's what he's talking about. It's hot out. I shaved it back a little bit.
Oh,
that's amazing. He noticed that.
Yeah, he noticed that.
Wow.
Man. He says it smells good too.
Yep. I took a shower finally. It's been a couple weeks, and so I jumped into the water, and so Ash is not totally wrong.
Yeah.
She may not kill you, but she is going to definitely.
She's not going
to want to. She might want to level out the tables a little bit here.
No.
Okay. So let's get into your vMix. I want to know about your. Oh my goodness.
Where's our names?
Oh, I like how you say that. You're so worried about our names.
We don't have names.
We do have names, but the branding.
We are. We're nobodies.
I really do not like StreamYard's interface system. I'm just gonna put it
down in the lower one. You'll find it if you look through those things.
I mean, our names are there, but when you drop on like this, covers it up. So John, sorry to say this because you're going to spend more money maybe, but there is a Canon camera called the Canon 200. It is cheaper than the Canon M50 and has clean HDMI, and the camera is $549. What's your thought on that?
It's not as good.
Yeah, you got any initial thoughts why?
I don't know, but I looked at them all. I don't even remember. Like people are like, "Oh, get the Canon M100,"
Yeah.
I think from off the top of my head, I think the 100 doesn't even have an audio input. So I'm not getting that. Why would you spend 500 or 550 for that? And there's something along the lines of the M200 that is not equivalent also. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'll tell you right now, you could skip all that stuff. I could easily pick up a Canon M6 Mark II
Yeah.
for $700
Yeah.
right now. Like there's a dude that's close by, $700.
He says that's with the lens though.
Yeah, with a lens. That's a great price. That's a $1,000 camera.
Which one? The 200, or he's talking about the 200 has a lens?
Yeah, the 200 has a lens. Yeah, I get it, but I could get an M50 for, there's something about the 200 I know that isn't as good. And you know what I think it is? I think, I'm not even going to look at the spec because this is how, sick I probably am. I'm pretty sure that the M200 only has a flip up screen and it's not an articulating screen. I don't want
that never bothered me until I started really looking into that and what it really means to have it. I mean, I knew what it was, but
right.
With the, like even the 5100 and then you're looking at the 6400, that's a letdown.
I think Sammy's just trying to test me though.
You think so?
Yeah, he's like, John, I'm going to throw this at John. Let's see what he says. And so I'm almost positive that there's a flip up screen, which I do not like. Okay. Because why buy that one where you go and put something in the hot shoe or the cold shoe and it's in the way. And then there's something about when you have that articulating screen where it flips out upside down, backwards, you go flip it in. It's fantastic. Because you could have it up and then just do like 45-degree angles. You could have it low. You could have it on a selfie stick and then it adjusts everywhere. So I love that. Sorry.
Well, what do you think about vMix? I mean, we keep teasing at it, and I know you're new to it, and so you're not going to have an overall comprehensive vibe, but you must have some initial thoughts and also some idea of where you're going with it and what you.
So I looked at vMix going back probably 6 months ago because I knew at one point that was going to be something that interested me, and everyone whose PC has gotten vMix and, they have really liked it. And so everyone that's a Mac is an Ecamm person, and everyone that's a PC person has, vMix. And it just seems like in the streaming world, a lot of people that I know more are using Ecamm, but vMix is actually super solid. And so is Ecamm. They're both great, but I knew it was going to be the only choice, and I knew it was going to be a good choice because they've been around for years. They perfected it. It's really, it's not even wasn't even considered to be a streaming thing so much. It was really a production thing. And then of course, streamers, are using it. But my initial thought is, I think it's fantastic. I really like it. It's pretty powerful in general. And it's pretty not bad to learn. It gets a little tricky when you start setting up triggers with things. So if you want the productivity to increase, right? And you want to have your countdown start and then flip to another scene and then have your name shoot out, then those kinds of things are all based off of triggers. And until you know the lingo of the triggers and where to place them, that could be a little tricky. But once you get that down, things really speed up. And then the same thing with bringing on people. I mean, there's no doubt StreamYard is so easy for this,
Yeah,
that's so easy. And it will be that kind of easy too when I get it down a little bit, but it's a little bit of a learning curve, not too bad. And I'm getting there,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, StreamYard is like an afternoon kind of, learning curve. It's so easy, other than the fact that it's still some of the stuff is just not intuitive as far as where things are placed. I think that could be done better, but I mean, who's to complain at this price point and for what it does, right? It really gets the job
and
done.
plus they're always improving, they're and here's the thing, right? Because Restream is like the competition. I think this week Restream actually has free background music that you can use that's copyright free.
Okay.
And now you can just play it in your background and no need to worry about it. And they just started, I think, this week doing that.
So I know Sammy did help John a lot with vMix, and that was a huge deal. And I don't know, we have a handful of people here, but I mean, if anybody besides Sammy Beyond Relations, has a comment about what they use. If they have ever used vMix, I want to talk to more people about who've used it, but it seems to me that it's the same story. If you can break through the entry barrier of the knowledge, it is absolutely worth this price, in gold, or its weight in gold. And I think it's maybe what you're saying. It's really made to have macros and like a Stream Deck operation or some kind of thing.
Well, it has built-in, controller, web controller. So here's the thing, right? I can learn anything myself. And I'm not kind of guy that I'll spend the time and dive in. But here's the thing. I spent about an hour's worth of time getting to the point I was with setting up a timer exactly like I wanted. Right. And then Sammy came in and he showed me some things that I could literally do in like 5 minutes. Right.
It's so nice when that happens. It's just, you can be just jumping over these.
Right. So instead of me going through the pain of, trying to learn these things, which then I would get to that point, it saves me time to have someone that knows it already and says, okay, this is a little bit quicker and this is a little bit quicker. And then because of those few things he'll show me, then it helps me figure out things too a little bit. You know what I mean? And so in general, that's great. And then along the way, because he did like such a fantastic job showing me some things that are really helpful, I picked up his overlays that he has. And you can use them in vMix and in Ecamm and in, OBS. And so I picked up his blue overlays that he sells, and they work good. I was actually testing them with my son. So
and your son was helping you figure it out, probably what was happening. No. But, it's okay. I don't feel embarrassed. It's okay. It's all right.
So overall,
let's talk about why would we even go into the vMix when there's a StreamYard anyway, right? Why would we even go through this effort to push through another technology and blah, blah, blah? Do you want to touch on that for people, why you would maybe want to go down this path of having to learn something new?
Because I'm insane. That's why.
Okay, that's more of a
Here's the thing. I'm going to be really honest with you, and maybe Jeff is like this a little bit too, is that when I go into something, I really try to take it to the next level with where I go with it. And so I knew that OBS is incredible. Like, it really is for free software. It's an open source. They work on it all the time. There's new things that they're adding all the time, but there are certain limitations that has, or people like to say like a year ago or a year and a half ago, it wasn't, rock steady. I'll tell you, I've used it for the last 8 months. It's never shut down on me while I was using it. Never. You could take it to its limits with some things that you'll add to it. And really it's the conflict of what you're adding. It's not OBS. And so you just figure out what works for you. And I really think it works good for a lot of people. But I knew when we started doing the streaming and using StreamYard with OBS, that's where things get like a little difficult, because the audio gets a little distorted and compressed, and it doesn't really sound the way it should. And then, of course, because we don't pay for the upgraded version, we're at 720. So these are all things that eventually I would like to take control of. But you can't deny the fact that StreamYard gives you all this access so easily to just really go out there and talk about your information and connect with people. Yeah. There's nothing better than having that ability. And I'm just ready to go up to the next level, I think, and so you're kind of in the same boat where you agree, and we want to get to the next level. So I think that eventually we'll be doing streams on vMix, and vMix is not monthly like Ecamm. So you pay for vMix one time, you have it, and you roll with it from there. So
yeah, there's so many different, I think a lot of people, look, the God honest truth is you can develop a huge channel and have met much success with the StreamYard Ecamm program, right? And that model is you pay monthly,
yeah,
and you just keep doing that, and it's wonderful for what it is. That's wonderful, and that model is It allows people to do something, and you could do it forever. There are some of the biggest streamers in the world using it. There's no judgment on that.
Right.
We've just found limitations. Now, a lot of people don't care about those limitations, and I respect that too. It gets back to the old thing. You could make your content, or we could do streaming with our phones. It shouldn't really determine. Now, yeah, there's some truth to that. I think, though, there's something when you do up your quality that is, if it's done subtly and it's done for a purpose, I think it can make the experience a little more enjoyable, especially with sound. That gets rocky, and we have noticed some compression oddness in StreamYard, which is to be expected. And of course, it's only going out at 720. Again, not the end of the world, but you and I do have a knack for wanting to always maybe push the envelope of quality. Now, that kind of gets into my area of like, this is also a danger, because you can start stepping into constantly chasing into like a relationship. You're constantly chasing the new relationship, but you're not even bothering to nurture what you have. And that's maybe where you would really be happy and grow. But that's not really, I don't think you and I see it that way. I think we see it as, we want to just nudge this a little better, have more control, and not pay the monthly, get out of the model. There's a lot of reasons. Like, we looked at a lot of variables, and that was good for our fit. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I just like the stars aligned for me, and everything was the right time to do it. I don't necessarily need to do it so soon.
Yeah.
There are other workarounds, and people will say, OBS Ninja and this and that. And that's great. And you can use it, and it really does, pull things together. But, this software is so much more put together. It's meant for this, so like everything is so like, even this is a trigger that I put in literally in like 30 seconds for my name. So I just got to make sure I'm clicked on the vMix program, and then I just hit the button, and then it just comes right in. I hit the keyboard again, scoots right out. So I set that up with like 10 different things, and that's practically right there. That's practically a Stream Deck.
Yeah, and we just don't really get these kind of little things when we're constantly having to bounce around a little bit too much with StreamYard, and it kind of is distracting, to be honest with you. When I really want to put my mind to either talking to you or chat, then you're kind of having to mess around when you could have these single keyboard things that would make things a little bit nicer. And Sammy, I just want to say, I will no doubt ask you for some help with vMix, and then I'll find a way to repay you. But we'll figure it out.
And then, and then the audio really makes me happy, because I think that if my audio was a little bit more controllable, because we've gone back and forth with this, where we have to put on, in the beginning, we didn't have to put on noise cancellation, right?
The echo stuff.
We didn't need
echo cancellation, right?
I have a Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah.
I shouldn't need to have it. So then I didn't need it for a while. Then all of a sudden, like, we were like, why are we getting echoes? And then all of a sudden we had to use the noise cancellation in StreamYard. And that took us like hours to figure out how that
hours kind of lightly pointing fingers at each other, because it just made no sense from our standpoint.
We had to check each other's stuff from head to toe of why we were getting echo again now.
We literally broke everything down to webcams.
Webcams, right.
Oh, to check it down.
You know what? It was, to be honest with you, that was a good learning curve, because when you have to break things down like that, that's how you find things, right? Because when they say, oh, my computer, something's not working right, and they're like, take everything out of every PCI slot, start from scratch with just a video card and one piece of memory, and that's how you find out. And we found out that we believe the settings and things were changed in software, which they're always upgrading. And I'm not like pointing a finger. We're not upset about it. It cost us about 4 or 5 hours that day.
Yeah, some frustration, no doubt. And then we're like, oh, here it is, and I have to agree with it. I mean, when you ran your test the other day, I mean, normally you're like, well, that's fine. It's better, but it was shockingly better.
Yeah.
Not just audio, but the visual was shocking. It looked like CNN on my
TV. Than OBS, though? Do you think it was better than my videos? OBS looks really sharp too.
No, this is better than this is better in OBS. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other key part of that, instant chat. I mean, I was sending you a message, and it was almost like real time. You were responding within seconds. It felt like we were actually having a real
Yeah.
back and forth, and that really helps too with chat engagement.
Yeah. I was going to say that is a really good point, right? Because we talked about that, just like sometimes where we go 30, 40 seconds of a time delay with everything. And now we can just go literally, I think with you and I, it was between 2 and 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Sammy, who is not far from me, was like literally 1 second.
It was instant. It was so cool to watch. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I just thought I'd step in, but it was so mesmerizing to see the difference, John, that I just stayed for the whole time you were doing that. I'm like, this is incredible. I was just having fun typing it out.
To see everybody. And Robert came in. He's like, everything looks so good, you know?
Yeah.
And then other people are popping on there. And I was just like, I like to be able to get the feedback, and I like to have the chat come in and everything full force, because then I can go back and check all these things. But I mowed the lawn today. I think my allergies kicked up a little bit. Oof. And I don't hardly have any.
Here it goes. He got the cough button.
That's what mute, bro, is for.
I was a little worried that was going to be like too much of a multitask for you. So I was like, well, we'll see.
It's close. It was touch and go for a second. I was like, where is that thing? I just got it the last second with my pinky.
Just could see your wife running downstairs with a hanky going, hold on, honey. We're going to do this together.
I have her run down and just pat my forehead a little bit.
You should do that.
A little hot.
Just just kind of a cool thing to have her come down and show her that maybe she cares a little bit.
I asked her if she wants to be on the stream soon, because I was thinking about like that would be kind of cool having our wives on one time.
Sure.
You know, and like they can kind of like make fun of us about how serious we are with all this stuff, and then point out how nuts we are and
how they just can't roll their eyes enough every time we talk about it, and how much we enjoy and hate it at the same time.
Tell me something about YouTube again.
It is a huge, I mean, there's nobody here that doesn't feel the same way. It's a massive, even on a part-time level, it's a massive dive.
Yeah. And Patrick knows he's in it too.
Hey,
so.
Patrick, you know what we're talking about. You're in this quicksand. Don't you try to act like, we're the only ones.
Hey, you were talking about this the other week, and I just want to point this out. I caught somebody that hit a milestone, and it was Robert Reed at Never Call Me Again. He crossed 100 subscribers, and so I saw that, and
awesome.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, very big shout out.
He's changing things and things are going on, but still, it shows progress in whatever you're doing, right? When people are subscribing to you. So
next time we'll have confetti, and we'll like flash them across the. I wasn't prepared. I would have done it. I would have had the whole thing. If your wives are on the stream, who's going to troll you? Well, that's not exactly. It's not exactly wrong.
Right.
Says the guy who's actually trolling a little bit.
Confetti.
No, that's actually, when you start out, you think I'll hit 100 pretty easy. That'll take no time. And then you realize how hard every single subscriber is. And you're like, ooh, this is going to be a little bit more of a climb than I thought. So when you get to 100, that you can't underplay how important it is to a young subscriber.
It's a milestone. And actually, like when you can leave messages for your channel, where that spot where you can just leave messages.
Yeah.
So I went in there when I hit 100 and I left myself a message. And
that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like I want to remember these milestones. And that's why when I hit 250, I streamed it out. And then when I hit 400, I streamed it out because I don't want to forget these things, because they're milestones, but they're gigantic ones for me right now. Like I'm so appreciative
for all of us. I hit 30 and I was excited. It's like, these are important, and people can say, well, they can trivialize all they want about what that means, but I'm like really happy. You and I have talked about how we want to do more about these kind of streamer ovation type things. And I love that. And it's not just for, Patrick, it's also for us, because it helps to remember like what we're trying to do ourselves, and it gives us hope.
Yeah. But it's like, I think it's like so cool when you document things like that, because like we could look back at this stream.
Yeah.
And we could say, Robert was here, or
Yeah.
Patrick was here, or you just said you had 30. Look at the date of this video.
Right.
You know, and it's
Right.
just like that is going to be something that makes the journey like so incredible when you look back, because when you think about every week and how much work it is on top of your jobs to stream twice a week and
Mhm.
3 times a week and try to get a video together and try to get your, studio together and make
And
things look
learn something new. I mean, that's the other thing.
right.
It's like it isn't just that, like, you don't want to just stay stagnant. You kind of also want to learn something new, or it's really a massive undertaking. So every one of those subscribers is such a big deal.
Yeah.
And
Subscribers.
I went through a change, as I mentioned to you. I dropped the Drum Up Studio channel name. So if anybody sees a different one, I'm with just went with my name. So run by J.A. Smith, and you can just call me Jay or J.A.
You asked me about that, and I was like, I don't blame you, because I've gone back and forth with that thought too, right?
Yeah.
Many times my middle name is Paul, and I was going to go like John Paul, or something John Paul Tech, or I had another channel that I just came up, and it was just John Ryan Tech Talk.
I'm
And
curious, like with Paul, Robert, and Patrick. I'm looking at theirs now. Again, I didn't change it because I think that's the only way. I changed it because I assessed that I had started Drum Up Studio actually a couple years ago after I dissolved a 20-year tech company. And when I did that, I thought this would be kind of cute, with Drum Up.
He made billions on that.
Drum Up business, Drum Up marketing, which is kind of my background, right? So that was not for this. And I feel like I've been shoehorning an idea that wasn't fitting the algorithms and how this works. And
Okay.
at the end of the day, I decided just to go with my name, and it won't, like, the benefit of Everyday Tech or Coffee Talk Tech and all that is that, yes, you have that tech built into your name, and that can give you some weight. So I considered that, but at the end of the day, I thought I'm just going to either succeed or fail or have fun with that as my name. And
And the thing is that gets me is I thought of Coffee Talk and Tech, and I get compliments on it. Like I've actually got compliments on it. And then I got like Tom Buck, right? Tom Buck.
oh yeah, of course.
So I was on a stream like 2 months ago, and he called me like CTT, and I was like, that's exactly what I was looking for. Like I was saying to myself, like eventually when people get to know Coffee Talk and Tech, they won't say Coffee Talk and Tech because it's so long. They'll be like CTT. You know what I mean? And so
I just want people to call me JA, at the end of the day, or, my acronym is JAS, so jazz, whatever works. I don't really care. It wasn't really, I decided to just put less thought into my name, and that Drum Up stuff. Obviously I'm a drummer, but it's driving too much confusion, and like the algorithm, it's driving too much confusion. It's not the focus of my channel.
Gotcha.
And so if music is not the focus, we can talk about that if we want to get into Notion and my productivity angle of what I want to do, because I am going to pull in that vein hard in my content. But I'll use all these tools, and I may use my quest as a musician to kind of show personal development using tech and tools, but it's not a focus. It could be piano playing or doing crafts. It doesn't really matter. It's about using tools to propel yourself to your quest.
I just don't want people to call me and that's all I care about.
Too late.
That's all I care
about. So I'm constantly debating whether I should change my channel name. I think that's a big how old is your channel, out of curiosity?
Mine?
No, Everyday Tech.
Oh. Yeah. I think he started that this year also. So
I think starting out, there's a lot of anxiety to it. And it was freeing for me to say, forget it.
But he's got his little thing, like the Everyday. What is that? Who's that dude? Everyday Dad, right? Isn't that his name?
Yes, Everyday Dad or whatever that is. Yep.
Yeah. So he's got this little thing, same thing. It's like for everyday people, and he goes through it when he talks and does his like little intro into it. And it sounds good.
I think it depends too. For example, for me, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a personality, but I just want to make things easier. And I know that it puts a little pressure on that angle of it, but because it is a personal thing when you start talking about personal development, in that we're using tools for personal development. I want to talk to people like that as a person and not as a brand. And so I think for me, that's why I shifted. And I have to say, I'm very comfortable with it. Let me just kind of throw this up here.
I get what you're saying 100%, because that's the same exact reasons why I thought about it. When someone knows like your name right off the bat, it's kind of like you're making a connection right off the bat. Like, I know this guy's name. Like, because now I get a lot of people, if I'm on their stream and say I make a comment, they don't even know my name.
Yeah. And also there are very few, J. Smiths. The ones that are out there have 2 subscribers here and there. If I pop to 100, the URL is available. I have J. Smith on everything else, on some form of my Instagrams and my stuff. So it just kind of was a nice fit. And it's short and it's easy to kind of put out there and remember. Now with Everyday Tech, I go back and forth. I almost went with Creative Quest because I'm into creative and questing, and I want to be able to help people do the creative passion quest. That's going to be more of my tagline now than it is going to be my actual thing. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the name.
Better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like Everyday Tech, so that's kind of a tough one for me.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
I mean? It's just, it looks good too. Like, I mean, I know it sounds dumb, but like when I look at Everyday Tech, it's not like Everyday Tech 4291. Like, it's Everyday Tech.
Yeah, well, he's no fool either. He plans things out. So he's like, you got the little ET with the computer. And so I'm trying to do these. I'm trying to think of a logo. And this week we were trying to piece something together where we were using coffee bean with a headphone over it. It's like,
although it's got to be an empty bean.
No. It's 14.
It's gotta be a shell of a bean. It can't have anything in the bean.
It's the 6 beans for the giant.
Now I'm starting to think of the rock guy on the Fantastic Four.
Oh,
your body is built like a coffee bean. That would be kind of.
Why do you think I love that guy?
But wouldn't that be cool though? Like, you could make a guy looks like you, but he's built out of coffee beans instead of rocks.
I'm practically built out of coffee beans. It's close, especially in the morning. Holy God.
I can't even imagine being around you in the morning without coffee.
It takes me a while. It takes me like 2 hours. In the morning, I'm like, don't even talk to me. And then like
2 hours it takes you? Jeez, man.
Yeah, because I don't like to talk to anybody in the morning. And then
you like to talk to me. You write to me right away in the morning sometimes.
Yeah, it's right away for you, but I'm up at like, 5:45.
That's true. I got another couple hours on you. You know what? Consistent Ash is such a great name. That's the thing. If you find the right wordplay,
mine would be Consistent Ass. No,
I'm speechless. I'm just speechless.
Everyone's like, yeah.
You told a funny old man joke.
Dad joke.
I wouldn't want you to change your name. I think it just stands out. I had actually seen many names put together. Like, I just think it feels good. This is great. Like, I wouldn't change that. And if I'd fallen into something like that right away, I think I would have been really happy with it. And Ash is such a great name. I just don't have a great name. Okay. My parents, 4 kids, they just gave up. And they're like, what do you want to name the kid? And they're like, Jeffrey Allen Smith. Yeah. It's like the worst thing you name a person, because you can't rent a car, a hotel. They all want to, what I mean?
They saw a Toys R Us commercial, and the giraffe's name was Jeffrey, and they're like, that's what we'll name him. Yeah.
That's the guy.
That's it. Jeffrey will be perfect. And then everybody thinks because I'm 50, like John Paul, like they always think it's like connected to everything. No, that or John Paul, the guitar player. What's his name from Led Zeppelin? Right? Isn't that him?
It's true too.
Yeah. So it's like that whole era of John Paul, and then except no one thinks about the Pope. So
I just want to step back and say, look, I'm the last person to tell anybody what to do with their name. And there's all sorts of information. And I tell you what, I've come to conclusion from watching everybody's advice on this issue. It doesn't matter. If your content and your approach to disseminating your content is good, you can have any name. It's like the Nike logo. The Nike logo didn't make that product good. That product made the Nike logo massive. Okay, it was what they did, the marketing behind it, and you know what I mean? It wasn't the logo didn't make it.
Branding, right?
Huh?
What? It's all marketing and branding. Yeah, sure.
Well, the old adage, did the logo make it, or did a good product and a good promotion make the logo? Did it make it cool? Because logos are really about perception. It's perception marketing. Do I want to be a part of that, associated with that brand? And why would you want to be?
Yeah.
Athletes are
I don't think the product is so above and beyond that you have to have it. It's more it's more the logo making things popular, and then people saying this fits my lifestyle.
Yeah, but the logo didn't do that. The product did that. The logo is attached to whatever the product is creating as far as use.
I'm not a Nike fan, so I wanted to be, but I'm dead serious, right? So
yeah.
I wanted to be because I thought Nikes are cool. So the last pair of Nikes that maybe I've had 2 pairs in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So I did have the original Jordans back in 85, right?
Oh,
which would be worth 5 times more than they were when I bought them.
You should have
used.
Totally kept those. Man.
Yep. And I bought another pair probably like 20 years ago, but because the toe boxes are too small generally for me. So, and I don't have a wide foot. I don't take a wide foot, but
what did the canvas Converse shoes feel like for you? I like those, but they're
never warm.
No,
I can't because I'm a big guy, and if you're trancing around on something that has like no cushioning,
it's a problem. I can't walk like really long with them. They are comfortable for small things, and they're great for drumming. Like a lot of drummers love those shoes for drumming. They have a perfect feel because they do.
The flat foot helps.
It's the flat foot, and they move really nice with you. Like some of those shoes are too stiff, and you can't get any flex in your ankle. It's kind of
a lot of guys used to use them for powerlifting, and they squatted in them, and I was just like, it's not me.
Which is hilarious because a lot of drummers use powerlifting shoes, ballet shoes.
Oh, do they?
Oh yeah, absolutely do. That's a big fact. There are shoes that are made just like that for drummers. They can go out and spend $400 on a powerlifting shoe, essentially. But
that's crazy.
It works, you know. I've seen things. I've actually done it where, like Dave Weckl and a couple other major drummers, what they do for slide technique, because they don't want sticking. You go out and you take, some leather shoes or tennis shoes like Converses or whatever, and you take them to a shoe person, a cobbler, and they will put leather, like a certain like dress shoe leather on the bottom, and it's like ice. Like it is so slick on a pedal.
Okay.
And so when you're doing like swivel techniques or any kind of doubles or anything like that, where you have to do slide techniques, it's super fast. There's no friction at all. It's almost too fast to be honest with you. But
yeah, I mean, if you're playing a lot and you're paying concerts and you got to go for, hit after hit, I mean, that just makes it a lot easier for you, right?
Yeah. So, oh, really? He doesn't even talk to me in the morning. You should consider yourself lucky. Should I? Lucky? Is that a word I would use?
She's talking at 45, 6 o'clock in the morning here, where it's by you. It's, it's already still 5 or 4:45.
Okay. Not to get off the rail even further, but
I send you a text, it's like 9 o'clock.
I'm not a morning guy. Of course, like my whole life has been stay up, do my job until 2 a.m. and get home at 3, then go to sleep by 4. That's kind of been my whole life. It's very hard to retrain that. I'm trying really hard.
Yeah, I'm a night person that has to be a day person because my job starts at 7:30.
No, that's brutal. I mean, it really is. I wouldn't talk to anybody in the morning either. I'd be like sick to my stomach. I'd be like, oh God.
No, they want to talk to me about stuff. And I'm like, no, thanks, man. Give me my coffee.
My name is Ashley, but I hate when people spell it Ashley. Okay. Ashley. So I go by Ash, fixes that annoying issue. And it's similar to my issue where is it JEFFREY or ERY? And the truth of it is, it's spelled both ways, but you have to, it's just like annoying to have to keep going. It's REY, it's REY. And after a while, like, I don't even care.
Yeah. So I'm John.
And
there's no John
without an H though. That could be without an H these days.
It is, but it could be, but it's just John, no Jonathan, just John.
That's just John. I always went by Jeffrey, especially later in life, because there were a lot of Jeffs. And it was, and in music world, it was easier to just, they're like, oh, there's 2 Jeffs here. So Jeffrey, and I liked it better as an adult, but going with J.A. Smith or an acronym of JAS, fine. I just rather, I don't know.
It's weird because you're 52, I'm 50, right? So when I was growing up and I was like 5 years old, and all the people used to call me John because JFK's son, right? John F. Kennedy, his son was John, and they called him John. And so that was like an easy rub off for a person in, similar, era. So all these people, all these older people that hung around my grandmother, I used to go to the lake, go swimming. Everybody knew me as John John. So I grew up in a town that's not close to right here, about a half hour away. So those people from that area know me as John John, which is kind of weird, right?
Jesus. Yeah, and as we're giving my age away, I mentioned to John earlier, I've been trying. I don't want to necessarily have to go down the glass road. I've been trying to hold off. I do have readers, and once in a while I'm doing this, but I hate wearing glasses. I don't like the way they look on me. But if you see me pop them on, don't freak out. But I may need them because last time you're like, "Are you squinting?" I'm like, "I am squinting because I
glasses on, you old lady."
All right, you know what I'm going to do?
Don't hit the mic.
I'm going to get chains on these.
No,
the librarian chain.
No. Don't do
you
that.
can see better though. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, I can see everything.
This is because last week I was doing the squint, which is not attractive, by the way.
So, can I talk about? Am I allowed to talk now, or are you want to talk about Notion a little bit first? Because you didn't really get into it. Do you want to get into a little more?
Are these like crooked? These are new. I might have to have these redialed in a little bit.
Yeah, I think the glasses look good too. So I'm a glass fan, so whatever.
I appreciate it. Oh, look at this. That's so sweet. If I could sub again, I would do it. Just that makes me happy because I'm so insecure about like any change. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just like your name, you keep your name.
Don't keep your name, man.
I do like it, man. Yeah, Patrick. Patrick's a great name, but everyday tech is really kind of a cool thing. I don't know. I kind of stick with it. All right, go ahead. You said you wanted to talk about something.
Yeah, but do you want to talk about Notion first at all?
Yeah, let's just talk about it quickly while we have some people, because I want to ask Patrick and Ash while they're here before they bolt. I want to ask them if when they went down this road, like I've been finding this whole, John and I've talked, I've been finding already a lot of ideas. I thought, finding ideas is going to be the problem. Nope. That's not my problem. The problem is ideas are in my head, and then the brain is not really made for long-term storage, as it turns out. And they fall out of my head. And so I'm finding it to be frustrating to not have a system in place to manage videos and plan out, and basically to video editing board. Now I've used Trello in the past, kind of like that, but I guess I was just curious if anybody else here uses a system. I don't care if it's a bullet journal or a single piece of paper. I'm just curious what you guys may use to plan out your daily task and maybe what you do more long range.
Can I tell them like my simple thing, like where I see this,
let's do that.
This is something that you're kind of used to, this productivity stuff, right? I am not, but I'm going to tell you why I'm on board with this.
Okay, let's do that, because I think that's important, because the truth of it is you were, not that you were resistant, but you kind of had like, I just poisoned your drink a little bit, like James Bond.
I don't know. It wasn't any of that really, but it was me. And I was down here one day and my wife tried, and I had her come in and look at a few things and give me an opinion. And she's like, you really got to get something to get your ideas in order. And she's like, even if it's a whiteboard or something. So then she said this, and I'm like, yeah, I know she's right, and everything. And so I grabbed a notebook and I started jotting things down, and I just want to put things in some kind of order that was going to help me, decipher some things. It doesn't really give me a tremendous clarity, but, okay. I really think that what I need to do is pre-plan my videos more, right? To become more successful. So try to kind of fab it together and have a plan instead of piecing things. Because what I would do is I would shoot the video and I would try to piece it together, because when you're brand new, you don't know what video is going to look better or what audio is going to come out better. You're just trying to make things sound decent and put things together and make sure your editing is not disgusting, right? So it's a lot of work. And she was like, you need to have a plan to do that. So I did the notebook for a while, but I knew that I needed something more. And so what's really weird, and this happens between you and I a lot, is we'll talk about something that we're just started looking into, one of us, at one time or something. And so I just scratched the surface of looking into this Trello and this Notion. Didn't really know much about it. I just knew it was about organizing. And I know like content creators were discussing it about how it can help. And then all of a sudden, it was only like 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later that you come in and you're like, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of up for this because I already discussed with my wife, I needed something. And this is coming from somebody like when you start out in content creation,
Yeah.
you don't, sometimes your intentions on everything aren't so like sought out, right? You don't really know exactly where you're going with everything. And then when you have that a kind of idea that you want to be more committed, then having something to work with like this is going to make you be more productive right off the bat. And
Yeah.
I don't know why particularly Notion will make that work. Okay. Cause I haven't gotten there yet, but I know that I need something to make things work because I'm getting to that point where there's so many things going on that are in the fire.
Okay. So
yeah. So
as we analyze that, do you feel, hey man, because you're moving along, you had good energy, you were knocking out probably through sheer force in some ways your
Yes.
videos and you were getting it done. But was there a point where the energy just started to kind of like settling down and you're like, man, I'm getting gas trying to refire up the engine every single time. Like I do it and then fire up and then do it.
So me, right? It was right up exactly with the same thing that you were talking about, which is these great ideas come into your head. And then there's so much going on in my head every day that sometimes those great ideas, I forget like a great title or a great video or whatever it could be. And I'm like, why didn't I write that down? Why didn't I do this? Yeah. And now I have Notion on my phone. I have it on my PC. So no matter where I am, it syncs. And I can just whip out my phone and just be like, okay, this is a good title. Let me just type this in really quick. And then
and we will talk about that because there is a particular view of how you can view the databases that are in there or whatever you're dealing with that is really made for the layout and responsiveness of phones. Most of them are the tables that go across. What you want to do is use list because that makes a beautiful, simple, single line responsive look. And I'm building that into that. That's something like I want to start talking about with Chad and see if that's something they would like me to dip into at some point. There's some great ideas, not just for videos we're using for live streaming and sharing it. And we have our channels in there. But there are so many things in your life and projects that this is made for. It's a beautiful tool. And it's certainly too big to talk about everything, but I'd like to at least dip into some of the top down stuff and consistent ashes. So I write things down, but never fall through with what I put idea wise. Video wise, I make it up as I go along. And I think that's probably the norm, right? And I think that would be typical of somebody who's starting out. The question is there come a point where you got to start building some systems in order to keep putting it out consistent?
That's what I was doing, the same thing as her.
Yeah.
And I felt like because my head is firing off so many ideas daily and stuff, that it's like at some point, if I don't start putting things on paper, it's wasted energy. It's like your brain you start to feel like, listen, I'm letting these ideas slip through because I don't put them down. And then so much comes through and my head. And it's like at that point, because you're always thinking and there's so much involved with being a YouTuber and a streamer, right?
It's not just a video idea. There's also like, oh, I should really learn this, or someone just turned me on. Or like example, I get every day, you guys are getting into like, here's a DaVinci overlay add-on that's on sale for $20. Well, I should be able to punch that with a quick share into Notion into a particular database that would save the link, what it is, and I can put a status and a tag on it instantly in case I want to find. Right now it's just overwhelming. I can't leave 1,000 tabs open, for God's sakes. It's just driving me crazy. So so Danielle says
she's been doing this for as long as I
actually add things to my list that I did already so I can just cross them off. It's satisfying. So she's basically rigging the game and playing with house money. And I can appreciate that approach. This is so psychological because here's the thing. I got into bullet journaling years ago, maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, and I love it. I think bullet journaling is a great thing because you get to have get to buy a nice leather thing and a journal, and You get to write in and do things, and it's a very flexible tool that you can do. And you do bullet journaling, and then there's little things where you can move it along if you didn't finish it and whatever. It's too long to get into right here, and I still think it's worth using, even with Notion. Like you can take it with you, and you can then put it into Notion if you want. It doesn't matter.
I was telling her about Notion, and I think she'll absolutely love it, because I almost would love her to do it, because then she would she would really fall into it. Help me, but then she would fall into this because
if somebody at all is interested in it, then I think this is an easy tool to fall in with and do very well. But as much as like bullet journaling for that sake, it is not a way to manage something with this much width and depth. Like it's impossible to do it well. I can appreciate people starting from scratch every time on their video, but if you do this right, from what I have really been gleaning from people who do have nice channels, they are like, hey, there's a trick to this. You have to be shooting and developing in batches in a way. You have to have parallel things really being worked out. And that sounds weird and heady and hard, and it's not. Like I showed you a little brief example of my scripting per video, how you can script out and develop a story. So when you sit down to do something, including A-roll and B-roll, if you want to go that far. And I think for me, you can use.
Remember I was talking to you and I was like, as you get along with like making 30 videos, 40 videos, 50 videos, you start noticing things, right? That you could do better. And one of the things that I noticed like months ago was like, sometimes when you get a product and you need to use it, it's like, why aren't I filming this B-roll when I get it, and like putting it into my file list. And then when I need it, because I'm going to make a video about it, I can use that product. But now when I took it out of the box, I filmed it. When I made some B-roll, I made it look good, whatever. And it's like, I noticed, like, I was thinking to myself, I should be doing these things. And then the same exact thing happens, right, with you and I a lot. You came to me and you said the same thing. And you're like, yeah, because then when you do these types of things, it just sets you up for success, because then you got that done already, right? And it's not sitting there. You're actually using the product already. And then you're doing your B-roll and it's already stored on your deck. Because I'm so like, okay, let me start an intro. Let me sit down and actually talk first. But you don't have to.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we talked about that because I ordered some softbox kits and I already have the LEDs and green screen. And then I have, of course, the booster, and I left them all boxed up because I am going to, this week, I'm going to open them up and record them as B-rolls to have that footage for their own purposes and their own videos, and then just batch that out, because I don't, then I can kind of start already doing some parallel things. And you can use it for stock footage too, like you say, for other things if you wanted to, if you track it right. So the footage itself can be file managed. So when you're doing file management, we have a video number per thing, right? So per video is a video number. That video number goes to the folder number where all the assets are. So they're always in sync. There's ways to really manage these two worlds. I don't think there is one great to-do tool. And again, it gets too big. I've used Todoist and Evernote's great. Like that's a great long-term storage. Like Notion would be more like the brain. And Evernote's more like a long-term storage. Like you can get into all these different.
What does Patrick say here? Go back to the old one. Yeah, that's a good one right there. He's right about that. Right?
I'm all in the Notion now. The nice thing about Notion is it can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. And I think that's what makes a tool not a perfect tool, but the right tool. If you can use a tool as deep as you want or as simple as you want, that is what makes me happy.
As long as it's making things effective, as long as there's a positive effect with it.
Yeah, because with Notion, you can grow. Now, of course, I have a tendency to jump in because I want to go deep and I want to like break things and then figure out what I can use for myself. So already I'm working on like the ultimate task taker kind of setup. And then, I've seen that done. I really like that. And of course, our projects, and then things like live streaming, and then video stuff, scripting, and there's so many things. I'm building a knowledge base. So those things are really, you can do that in Notion very well. And you can kind of get rid of Trello because it has a Kanban board system per thing, which is great. If any of you people have used that, obviously a to-do list, it's really fantastic. But here's the thing. And if you don't know why I'm so excited about it, it's a relational database setup. So unlike Evernote and these other ones that are kind of creating hierarchies with folders, this is a true relational database setup. And that creates the power, the massive amount of power.
Can you tell me what that means in English?
Yeah. So let's say we have a database that will hold information. Let's just say we have a database. I think I showed you my inventory. I created an inventory thing where all my purchases for gear are in there with the price,
Yes,
blah, 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 right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
So in that, we'd be like, well, we would like to, where did we buy it? Now, you might want to just type in Amazon like you would in a sheet.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is nothing's tied together. It's all individual fields. So what I did is I can create another database. So here's database A with the inventory. I create another database, which is called vendors, Amazon, Sweetwater, eBay. And so when I'm putting, so when I put an item in, I go, oh, I bought this, and I bought it from eBay. I do the drop down, and I choose eBay. So now, no matter which database I'm in, they're tied together. They know, like, if I just pull up Amazon as the vendor, it will show all the stuff that Amazon has bought in its sheet and its product. Or if I look at the overall inventory list, of course, I can immediately see and get to that this is an Amazon and just associate them. So it allows for much more powerful presentations and filtering. Filtering is the biggest thing, right? Because they're essentially talking to each other. They're essentially networked, I guess is the best way I can say it. And instead of just being standalone, that'd be maybe the lowest.
Yeah, like I would if you were just to open a folder on your computer and then drop a link in there to something, and it's just like, then you got to be at this computer to open that up. And then when you're in, the app, it's like it can go anywhere.
Yeah,
used anywhere. You can break it down.
It is. It's of course beyond the scope of something like this, but I think I'm just very excited about what it can do. But again, trying to control that excitement and as has been said, using the tool though in a way that makes it efficient, and you're not just using it as a distraction or as a tool to procrastinate. So that's where you got to draw that line. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, what you want to build is a simple home page, essentially, with all the simple views of the next text, the next task, the upcoming streams, the upcoming videos that are due only, and then you can drill down into the data to find out anything else you want in more detail. And I think that's exactly what we'll be doing, you and I, on this journey. And then we'll see how it works. I think it'll work fine if we use it to help us rather than just doing it to do it, if you know what I mean. I don't want to do that.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to do it and it's like just makes everything hard to do. You're not just doing it because it's gotta be a tool, and the tool has to work for you.
Getting back to what we were discussing earlier, this is the tool that you would use to automate in the delegation process of trying to be, like getting things done. You'd want to delegate at some point in process if you can. So you're not sitting there going, oh, I'm spinning my wheels and having to reset a whole nother task list and build it from scratch. And
so you're saying, how could this work? Right. So just something simple here that I think, I think of this simple because I'm not really tech with this. Right. So it's not my forte, but I'm sitting here and I'm like saying to me, okay, well, if you're doing a live stream or if you're doing something else like a video, and now someone brings up something about anything in your place, your lights, your this, your that. Now you're jumping into what you bought that from Amazon. You hit into that folder, you hit that link, you could pull it out and drop it here in seconds. Yeah. How much, like, instead of someone saying, hold on a second, let me go to Amazon and find that, then you have that right on your desktop, ready to go.
In the inventory that I created that eventually you will use, it's got all the stuff you'd want for each purchase. Of course, the purchase date and amount and whatever. And of course, the vendor that is tied into another database, so you can extrapolate that. But it also has a URL right to my order information. So right. I can't, like you say, I don't have to go into all my accounts. Now I might have to log in, but I'm always logged into these things on my desktop. But I can just click that link and it'll go right. And if I have to log in, fine, will go right to my order invoice. So I have one thing for eBay, Sweetwater, right. Whatever. I just don't want to have to be always moving around. I mean, anything you can automate to buy yourself a minute or two is huge in
Yeah.
today's world. But
Especially if you're going to be going down there multiple times, because you know, like that this kind of information is people are going to ask you numerous times or this or that. And it's just like anything. When someone says, hey, do you know a good landscaper? Right? How many times do your neighbors ask you that? Or, you know, and so you're shooting out the same stuff all the time. Oh, I'll text you over his number, you know? And so this is like having this sort of information at your fingertips all the time.
It is. And you and I will do a screen share hopefully soon where we can just do a little walkthrough of what I have. And then we can discuss maybe, I don't want to overwhelm people.
You need to be Sammy.
But we could do like a 10-minute thing, like showing people 1 week. Here's an idea of how you could do it in inventory and why that might be cool for your gear. And things like that, and just kind of get some feedback about what people think about that. But
so I think when you do that for me too, when we sit down and we go over that, it's going to also speed up the way I can see it can be used. And so I'm kind of excited about going over those things so I can start being more effective also for us.
Yeah. But already in the live stream and what we were doing, we were talking about how John went in and made a comment, and now we're commenting and getting notifications, and everything is in one bucket. And so we're not having to send things through email and Facebook. And it's so annoying. And you can build whatever you want on that page. I mean, the truth of it is you don't even know yet what I know, and you're already kind of like seeing the light. So it'll be really fun to see how you take in some more information. But I think, you know, you'll like this. It's a slow journey, but it's going to be a good journey. Ash says the one thing I do is write down now, since it's really working, is all my description words. Yep. Every single one, and cross them off after I place them in my video. And that's part of the template I was showing you. So, and you create a new video, and then it's that template for that video comes up. And after the properties, you have a whole list, ideas for the title, ideas for the thumbnail, whatever. And then you start getting into telling the story. It could be a hero's journey type story, or overcoming an obstacle type story. And it takes you through different storytelling things and just building that whole thing out. And part of it is descriptors, you know, and putting those notes on keywords and having that all into one a bucket that you can keep actually working on as you do other projects. Which, like you say, if you have an idea in the shower and you're like, oh, that's not what I'm working on right now, but boy, would this be a great idea for a title, or this be a great idea for...
That happens all the time.
All the time. It's annoying.
All the time.
It's all the time, man. It drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah. I have one written on a notebook upstairs that I was sitting at the table and I thought of, and then my wife was like, threw me a notebook over with a pencil and just wrote it down. It's upstairs for a title. Because I found something really cool that I hope to show some people in the next week or so with OBS.
Yeah, I mean, TubeBuddy is cool as a tool. vidIQ, TubeBuddy, those are great tools and then you can kind of template that out and then develop those descriptors. It is good. I think it's a tool that I would use and then take that tool often and maybe go to Notion and build out my stuff. But it's the same idea, because what Ash is saying is she's using a system and she's using some automation, because a lot of people don't use TubeBuddy and they're kind of starting from scratch on things like, I don't know, like on keyword searching or
SEO.
You know what I mean? And where you can create a kind of an automated template system with TubeBuddy and vidIQ, which I think is critical, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What is this here? Oh, yeah.
They tell you tags aren't important anymore.
Yeah, I know. Everyday tech. Keep the phone with you in the shower and jot down the ideas in Notion. People do it. I've seen it. They actually have the phone in a thing and they keep it in there so they can jot down their ideas in Notion. It is weird how we come up with so many ideas in the shower, but it's not, because we have the space to really kind of just think in a white noise. Like, we're in that perfect weird space. I mean, we should probably be paying attention and showering, but you know what I mean? Whatever.
It doesn't come in the shower for me, but it could be before I get in the shower when I'm sitting down.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a you kind of like the pre-shower setup, and a lot of people do have great ideas. In fact, that is another guy who talks about the first thing in the morning. That's what he does. He's like, oh, I go to the loo and I come up with my 10 things in Notion, and whatever. I don't judge. However it works for people. We all have our spaces.
It could be people's, train ride into work. It could be lunchtime.
Yeah, it could lunchtime. And that's the thing, having tools that you can take all those great ideas and of course, this is not an elegant way of really explaining Notion because it's such a top-down view, but being able to tie so many things together and relate them, to pull them out in pieces and present them in ways that will make your life a lot easier. And I think the biggest thing, whether it's a bullet journal or Notion or Evernote, is really having a mind dump spot. You really do need a spot that you can mind dump and you can let go of this stuff so you can sleep and eat and not go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, otherwise, that's the thing. Like, I just need to let that stuff go because it's like wasted energy. It's wasted energy when you keep on having to rethink about so you don't forget something, right? And when you start putting your energy, this is the way I look at it. These successful people, ultra successful, they don't waste energy. It's like a marathon runner, right? They know when to put the energy out and they know when to sit back and make sure that you got your rest time, your you time, and when to go for the finish line. So it's like, I think when you learn how to piece that all together, and when you're having these downtime that you can be somewhat productive still, even so, then you're actually productive when you're barely really striving to go that far with it, because everything just works in continuity.
And that's been the toughest thing about productivity tools is, again, they do certain things well, but because they don't really do a lot of things well together. You can connect them through mechanisms, but generally, like Todoist is a great to-do thing, you know what I mean? But it doesn't do anything when it comes to Kanban and doing projects with cards, or it doesn't do anything from a relational database to drill down, data. So, Notion does all that. And by the way, Notion is free. So for our versions of what we need, Ash, if you decide to look into it, it's free, which I think is incredible.
Right.
Is it perfect? No, but man, it is a to-do list with a relational database and project management and Kanban cards. Like, it's just that system is really tight, and you can do a lot inside there. It is tricky to get started in something that big,
right.
Even with somebody who understands relational databases and use these tools. I had to really kind of settle down a couple times going, okay, where is the real starting point here? So I can get how it can totally pay off and save time. It can. And again, I'm like with John, I really want to not overload you or anybody with it. Like, I would really like to, whoever was interested in it, I would like to just take that first step. And then I don't want you to do anything more than our live stream right now. Maybe I will show you some things so you can kind of start to grasp what it can do without having to be like, okay, what does it do again? Do that step. I don't like that. I like people to be able to watch and kind of just hang back and osmose the whole thing and kind of just get a vibe for what it can do.
And if you take one or two things away with it,
that's fine.
And that's great.
You know what I mean? And then you're using the live stream one that we have, which is pretty simple. You'll have an understanding of the basic tenets of how it works, right? So then you can start marrying up deeper thoughts. But people try to push too hard, and it doesn't work. What do we got here? And then I need a new phone. Yeah, I do. I don't know. Do I have an extra phone?
I'll need a new phone. I'll need a new phone if I take it in the shower too.
Yeah, I don't think you have. I don't think you've been burning through capital pretty cool for that. My new everyday channel would be Everyday Notion. Love it. Like, that's perfect. Like, everyday talk, everyday Notion.
Good. Like Patrick, I guess, knows the power of this. So,
yeah, apparently he's hip to it and is working in it already. Probably knows more than I do, but I'm deep diving into it, and I'm really enjoying it. And there's some really cool formulas for these fields that can really start to really allow you to do some cool things. But I'm not going to go too deep into those right now, but I'm just kind of same thing. I'm nibbling at around the edges of the power of that and using the basic formulas to get what I need. And it's great. I mean, I'm glad to hear it. So I'm glad we need another Notion dude around. That always helps.
Yeah.
So yeah, productivity. I really love productivity, and I think that's something I'm going to bore into my content. I really like. I've decided that that's got to be a part of what I do. I get excited like when you talk about cameras. I get excited about talking about cameras, and I do want to. I think for me, gear, gadget, strategy, and productivity, all those things for personal development and passion questing. That's pretty much where I think I'm at. Yeah, I've seen Kat's got a lot of things going on with Notion. Sure, absolutely, she does some great stuff. I might have to nibble at questioning her at times. She's probably got a little deeper dive. She's been doing it quite a while. But yeah, at some point I'll start making some videos on Notion because I think that'll be a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also it's like if it's really a tool that's so diverse, and then different people are going to use it in different ways, and how can anyone show you how to do something like one way perfect? I feel like if you can just take things out of it, right? Like say if someone makes an outline like you do for our live streams, but not all those things work for me, but A, C, D, and F does, and I use those things, then that works for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was where I'm developing like my video editor database, which clearly we may not see because you're going to do your own video editing. So when I give you that template, you may go, man, I don't really care about this information or seeing it this way or having that particular.
Yeah, but maybe I do too. So
you might, but that's the beauty of it, right? Yes, the tenets of how this thing operates are the same, but it becomes art over science when you start putting together what works for you. How simple, how complicated. Do I want to use it for travel planning, which is a great travel planning tool, by the way, or whatever, remodeling the kitchen.
Now my wife's going to use it for travel planning.
She should. There's a great travel planning, software. Get a whole bunch of work done. So
figure out how we're going to go zip line for 2.5 miles.
2.5 miles.
That's what they said. 2.5 miles zip line out in Tennessee somewhere. They take you with an AV to
Gatlinburg. Where's that at?
Yeah, close by. Not far. I've been to Gatlinburg. I've been to Asheville. I've been to the back. I drove through the back of the Smoky Mountains on motorcycle.
I spent 3 years in Chattanooga as a kid.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hit Memphis for a night, and
sure.
And then we're gonna go over to Nashville. So
okay, well that's very cool, man. That'll be a lot of fun. Nashville's a great little city. It's growing up pretty good.
Yeah, there's supposedly a lot of culture compared to 20 years ago, you know, because
it's changed so much. I mean, I remember when I lived in Chattanooga, we'd go to Nashville. There wasn't a whole lot there.
No.
A lot of LA people, a lot of LA musicians have relocated there, of course. And, who's coming to Montreal? Well, I don't know. Are you guys even open yet? I mean, I feel like Canada's still a little locked down. I don't know if that's
I'm not sure. But I mean, that's not out of the realm for us because that's literally a straight run up the highway for me.
Yeah. You can just hop the border and do your thing.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about that too. So that's a possibility because we've done Niagara before, but we've never run up to like Montreal or Quebec or not, you know. Who knows?
This is so funny. Yes, boss. Not for US, but we are open. I think she means
not open for the US.
Or she mean not for us. I'm not sure.
Not for us.
Okay. Let me know when you do a video or live stream or on Notion. I'll contribute a short video or live demo. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see that. I'd love to actually. I think that's the whole thing. There's so many ideas with Notion that, you know, you can come at this from so many different angles that somebody can always teach you just that couple things different. And that's what I've been doing. I've been running around looking at a lot of different ideas, and that's hard because you get too many. So you got to pull it back in a little bit and just kind of go with your own gut. But yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I would love to do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here she says, no, non-essential travel is banned last time I checked to and from US. Okay.
Well, they just changed a lot of things for us. So
yeah. I mean, it's pretty open here now. I don't really, I mean, the travel's been kind of open anyway already internally. But I mean, have you even seen people with masks? I mean, here it's like,
all day long.
Huh?
Everybody.
Really? Not here. But you're in a different area. You're in a different area of higher populations. You got more
If you're
international.
in Newark, New Jersey,
Right.
you're gonna want to wear a mask.
Please put a mask on.
You're gonna want to, is all I'm saying. I'm not kidding you. You know, because you have to realize I was in the highest one, count death rate counties in America. You know what I mean? So when you're there, and it's not just it's a lot of people who aren't educated about how to take care of themselves, and that's who falls detriment, and a lot of homeless.
Yeah,
so, and you're going to want to wear it because no joke, until just a couple of weeks ago, multiple in my building,
Yeah.
So, and a lot of them talk about how it wiped them out, and some people, we had a cleaning lady that was in a coma, and I don't know if she'll ever be back. We had guys for transit, the bus people in New York City, especially New York City MTA lost like 200 employees.
That's a high rate.
So it's like,
I don't even know how they're replacing these employees, to be honest with you.
The jobs are great. People, I mean, they're
desirable jobs. Like they've got, right.
But it's just, it's how are you replacing people in general, like when they're 50, 55 years old. I mean, a guy I used to see weekly on the train, is not there anymore. So, but, it's finally starting to slow down, though. The evidence is there for a lot of good. And I can't wait, man, because it's getting old. Everything is, people want to go out. They want to enjoy themselves. They want to spend money. They want to be around people, so.
Yeah. And being around people, the part of the joy of that is to see. It's hard when you can't see if they're smiling. You have no like feedback about what you're actually dealing, because we are so on those cues, and it just makes everything so sterile and tough to deal with. And it's kind of sad. And I mean, here, now we're at a point where, people are going out and they're full restaurants and nobody's, but I mean, we were one of the few states too that we were lucky. We got a lot of people vaccinated quickly here, and it was set up, and we got lucky.
But we don't know how effective that's going to really be.
Absolutely not. Right. And
I don't know if that matters. It doesn't really matter.
This could all end horribly, right? This could all be like,
you could have 14 variants that go haywire. So
you
happening in Europe right now. So
and then how long is this first? Yeah, how long is this first one? Because like the flu, it's like you're right. It just variants.
More people are going to get shots we don't know yet. So I don't want to get.
I think it sounds like it. Yeah, I don't know, but it's. Time will tell. It will work itself out, but it has been nice to go into Home Depot and not wear a mask. I'm not going to lie.
Everything's nice not wearing them. Who wants to wear a mask? Especially me, bro. I go up a flight of stairs. I'm sucking wind. I don't want to be sucking in a mask.
I hate it so much. And if you have anxiety or even allergies, it is so hard. Like when the heat and humidity to do that, I don't know. I really just felt bad for people who had to work in that. And just 10, 12 hours a day. They're just.
I like what you said. I just want to see people's faces. I want to see smile on people's faces.
The biggest difference.
My son says, he just like, when we don't have to wear a mask, I want to go out and just have fun. He wants to see his friends, and all that stuff. So that's all I care about.
Because even with people with the mask on, it's just a weird, constant, barrier. I don't know. We all know what I mean. So I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. It does. It dehumanizes everything. So
yes, people want to be around people at coffee, talk, and tech. Yeah.
There's no comma, and my name is John. It's my mom. She calls me Coffee, Talk, and Tech.
I like she puts the comma in there.
No comma.
She's like, wait, it's at coffee, and then you got to go to.
She tries to do the app because it highlights. Because she just learned that actually. And I don't want to, I'm not joking. Did you know, I don't think I knew 6 months ago that when you put at in a comment that it highlights so the person can see it. Did you know that?
Yes, I knew that.
Well, I didn't.
Only reason I knew that is because when I started all the stuff year plus ago on Twitch, it's the same idea. You just hit at and start typing their name and it popped up so you can talk to them. Yeah.
I was never on Twitch. I never left people comments. I never was in a live stream and left a comment. So not at all.
You were you're a commenting introvert, and
Yeah. No, I didn't know, and so I saw Ash helped her out with that like last stream. And so that was a good help, for her to understand, because go back. I remember watching a live stream in last June, and I asked somebody, how do you get it to highlight, So I didn't know. I was like, I have no clue. And you just got to put at, and then it pops up and you just click it. I'm like, okay.
And then the next time you tell somebody, it's like you've done it forever. You're like, oh yeah, you got to put the @ in there, and just like feel good about yourself. And
listen, I've been doing this forever. I haven't been like, I haven't been doing this forever.
Time will tell at Jeff. Great soon will. What? Did Yoda just jump in here and give me a?
Time will tell at. I don't know.
Time will tell. Great soon will. I'm sure what happened was there was a spelling error. I hate doing that. Like, I will put stuff in comment and
I do it all the time.
Fingers do something weird, and I'm like, well, what did I just type? And you can't take it back, and you're like, oh my god, it's so.
If I don't have my glasses, I can't type. So sometimes I'm like, oh, is that right when I just typed that? And I have to like proofread it. Otherwise, mine will look like discombobulated.
It is true. Yeah, the @ just helps to auto-populate the name. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't think people realize that either. So I'm just lazy. So if I can just type in one letter and auto-populate a name, I'm going to hit that @ sign.
Yeah, but it doesn't work if you put yes at Ash. You have to finish it. You have to click it. That doesn't work on a phone either, does it? Because I've seen like when you try to do it on my phone, it doesn't let it happen. I just noticed that it works on PC. I know that.
You and your mom are gonna have a conversation about that.
I don't know what she's saying.
That's awesome.
You see this though?
Oops, did not realize. What? No, run it again. Do it again. Let me see it. Oh, look at that. That is some sexy stuff.
Smooth.
I can't wait to get into that vMix. I'm gonna have to buy mine. Yeah, Ash did. See, worked. So if you put @ John, does it highlight?
No.
@ Jeff just repeated you. So I'm not. What?
Are people drinking?
I'm missing a conversation. I'm sure it makes sense. Like, I feel like I'm sure this makes sense somewhere. It just doesn't make sense in our heads because we're disconnected from the conversation a little bit. But
yeah, we are. I mean, that's the people chat and the chat. That's always fun anyway.
Do you have something for Thursday that you are ready to talk about?
I'm just gonna go briefly. I'll go into I'm gonna go into YouTube analytics a little bit. I did it with Ashley's stream a little bit. People seem to be like a little interested in looking at it, and so I'm just gonna go into some things in analytics and just look at some positive signs, some negative signs, and they all don't equate all the time. Because people think, oh, if you have a high click-through rate, then you're going to get a lot of views. And that's not really true. So there's a lot of things that actually have to come together. And it's really based off of trending too, or how popular a topic is based off how many, impressions you get, so you're not going to get like a lot of impressions if you're trying to like put something up about the Batman blue Band-Aid, you know what I mean? So it's like,
right,
but if you're putting something up about that's really a popular topic, then you're going to get a lot more impressions, but you also have a lot more competition when things are popular. It's not as easy as anyone who writes a book tells you it is. So because everybody, you're going to hear it over and over and over again. And these are other things that we'll talk about sometimes, because I think it's a little frustrating sometimes when you ever read a book of how to do something. It's always like the simple things they tell you, right? About the obvious simple things like, oh, your branding or this, like obvious things, so then you're like, okay, well then when the obvious things are over, how do you really make it work? So people will tell you, you got to have an engaging thumbnail. Well, if you're new, how do you know what an engaging thumbnail is? It's like ridiculous to say that. And then it's like, then they'll tell you, okay, well then if it's, an engaging thumbnail, then, you got to have a great title. But it's like these people are just learning. And this is the reality of it, though. And this is why it gets said so much, because people want like instant gratification on everything. And so they think that if they make 5 videos, they want to know why their videos aren't getting seen, but you're not going to be good at anything at that point. So the idea is to see progress, and you're going to have to know what good content is and what, drives views. And depending on what you want to do, you have to put a plan together to really work towards monetization, or have a niche, or drive it into your thoughts into a more of a niche, so you're more focused. But there's so many just different things, because we talk about impressions, we talk about how much YouTube pushes it out, we talk about how much your search pushes it out, like normally. So there's just a lot going on, and it is confusing, because I'll see signs of positivity, and then like it doesn't end up working always that way. And then that you have to learn, well, why didn't it work that way? But then you'll see people like, I ask myself, I see a million thumbnails in a day, and I've seen a lot of horrible ones. And how does someone get like, 200,000 views on something? And it's because it's telling you something that's important, like it's people are looking for this. They want an answer to it. So a thumbnail doesn't have to look so great, sometimes. So there's just a lot involved. And I think in the beginning, people get overwhelmed with these thoughts. But the honest thing is that you don't have to read a book or, go spend $1 million to figure out that. What you need to do is just start learn how to edit, start how to use a camera.
Yeah. And this is getting back to the conversation we had, which is the name is fine. And there is value into having a good name. I think Everyday Tech, Consistent Ash, like these are well thought out names. There are a lot of weird names that are actually really big too. And, again, but it all comes back to, people are doing good content, good editing, and just doing it consistently. And, you made a point about the book or people talking about the analytics, and you're right. Like sometimes they just step over certain little cracks that are so important to truly understanding the connections. And without knowing that, I don't think you can really know sometimes to fill that in unless you're actually just doing it.
Yeah, I think you got to go out and you got to do it. And I'm not saying like, if you know nothing about YouTube, of course, that's different. You know what I mean? Like you pick up a book and you know nothing, and then you realize that your click-through rates are something that you should be watching, right? And then you realize that there's other things that are more important to follow. And they're, one of the most really simplest things is that your title and your description and your tags should have some kind of matchup. Like that single thing alone is one of the most important things.
And you can see what he's talking about here, that there was a deal that was posted on Slick Deals on the Monitor I did a review on. And then of course he had a, and that's the thing, you're putting out a lot of videos and hoping that something, you don't know what will turn in the market or turn on a sale or turn, you put it out there, you tag it right, you try to do the right thing and make a good video so somebody sees it by that way. Yeah. And then they go, oh, I want to check out, Everyday Tech's other stuff because, well, I'm here, right?
And then like, I don't know if Consistent Ash knows Annie Dubé, and she's like tells you, her whole channel is based off of trying to help you to get the gist of YouTube and how to use it for your best ability. And but good night, Ash. But it's like the thing is, she talked about like her first video that went crazy. It didn't really pick up until like 4 months later. So she made this video and it only got like so many views. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, this thing just took off like a rocket ship, and it ended up like bringing her. And this is when I knew her like about over a year ago. She had less than 19,000 subscribers. And now the girl's got 112,000 subscribers.
Incredible.
Yeah. And there's numerous people, because this past year, like if you were able to get, into the grips of things, and springboard yourself forward, it really works. But the thing is, like, sometimes I almost feel like people try to explain how to figure out YouTube, and I don't know if you always can. Like, I think there's some oddity to really what takes off, and sometimes you can never guess that it would be something.
Right. So, and that's why people tell you don't be a moving target. So find your niche, whatever that is, make great videos, stay consistent in that area. Or if you're trying to chase something, you're never going to, you know what I mean? You're always chasing is not really what you want to do.
But what's a
You
great video? Make great videos. People,
Right.
what I'm saying is, like, right, that could take you a year alone to just learn the basics.
Oh my God. I mean, yes, already I can just see like how long it's taken me to get a flow together on anything in this process.
Unless you're a person that like, if you know cameras and editing, my God, you got like such a huge advantage.
Those are the guys that really have an advantage. And that's just not something I never owned a camera until now. I had a webcam and my phone, and I always use this to automatic settings. This has been such a thing. Now I've done some editing in DaVinci because I had to do projects, so that helped. But to say I'm an editor, I mean, there's a difference between cutting up something in DaVinci here and there to do whatever and being a storyteller and creating cinema or a well thought out project. That's totally different.
And then like, if just because you're a good, semi good editor and etc., doesn't mean that now, like, to push things out, you got to go to different platforms, push your video, share it, put it in special groups to help yourself really springboard even more further ahead. And there's like so much work involved, and it's like you have to be your own promoter, your own editor, your own garbage man, your own, everything. And it's like, it takes an effort, and to get where I've gotten in 10 months, it's been a lot of effort, man, a lot of effort, and a lot of reaching out to other people, and getting to know other people that are in the same positions is like really important, because I think it takes, people to a point where you have some support.
Yeah.
What you say? Hey, Patrick.
Yeah, you need that support. Well, they're over here trying to make us jealous. So now, Patrick was jealous, but then it was like, oh no, I'm just trying to make them happy because they're very needy guys, and so they're having this back channel discussion. Like, I'm not going to see it. And then, Patrick's like, oh, let's not let them know. And I'm like, but I do know, because I have comments right here. But you know what? We are needy. So it's probably good that she placated us like that. And Patrick, you are definitely one of our favorites, so don't even think otherwise. I wish I was more of an. I look back at my inventory and I was shocked. I didn't get the 8500 till like February. So like the 5100 till like February. Like I didn't even start getting lights and stuff until after January. I realized how new to this I really am.
Yeah,
and it's like, holy smokes. I'm just trying to play catch up. And
awkward.
Oh, you saw that? Wow, awkward. Yes, it's a bit awkward, but you know what? We're gonna have a group hug. It's gonna work out, and we'll still be Notion buddies. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. You're good, dude. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think like what people do tell you is it's a marathon, not a race. So, and Consistent Ash, the name, right, is part of what YouTube is all about. And that's why she picked it. That name is being consistent. So whatever it is, if you're streaming, if you're doing videos, if you're making connections with other people in YouTube, or you're helping other people, just be consistent on everything you're doing, because it's going to take that consistency across the board to get you to the place you want to go.
Yeah, and consistency is where you start to find some exponential growth of the tools. If you're lucky, you start to feel your processes again, and that's just a tough thing. It's just such a balance, and I really can appreciate the path that everybody's taken, and then you and I are really trying to not overthink it, but at the same time have a little bit of a blueprint that might help things, and maybe you don't have to go too deep in here or too deep in there, but just enough where we can kind of buy some efficiencies and just, I don't care if, like, for example, at the end of the day, if Notion is nothing more than a mind dump and a little planner, fine. I don't care.
Right.
If it helps along the way and it frees me up to not waste that time when I could be learning or improving editing or some of my weak areas, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then eventually you just keep on putting the content out and improving. That's the idea though. Like anything you're doing, you have to see the improvement, you know? And the thing is that you'll notice the more that you do any kind of YouTubing and streaming is that you're going to have opinions from people that don't do it. And you're going to have opinions from people that do it. And you're going to have opinions from people about comments that you make. You're going to have opinions about videos that you make that they're, you know, you're going to get good comments. You're going to get bad comments. And the thing is that you just got to keep moving forward because you're never going to please everybody. And the minute that you realize that, the minute you'll let yourself go a little bit, and otherwise it can overwhelm you, and you have to keep moving forward with what you're doing and not let that stop you, because that could be a stumbling block for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, to myself, it's been a stumbling block, and that thing has got me through other people that I've met, and as we try to string people, you know, keep pulling people along with us, and sometimes pushing those people in friendly ways. Sorry, but you know, to do this by myself, you know, I've done a lot of things by myself, but this would have been really a major amount, I think, for me to try, because there's so many things here and such a psychological thing. I don't know if I would have been able to really get through some of there is a point. I don't know where there's a point on this climb early that you get off a ramp and you start making decision points about, am I going to continue this hike up this hill really? And I know that
Does that stop?
Huh?
When does that stop? Because I got a feeling that's going to keep on going forever.
No, I believe you're right. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's that initial part, I do think, that is kind of that first, maybe it's that first moment, I'm talking about. Yeah. You're right. There's always that kind of like, let's get off at the roadside here and go, where am I at? Is this okay? You know,
let me catch my breath.
Yeah. So,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's not an easy path, and just like you got to keep on forging forward, because no matter what, you got to go with what you're doing because you have a vision. And sometimes if you have a vision, you just got to carry forth what you see. You know, and along the way, it doesn't mean that you don't take input from people, but you got to be careful where it all goes.
It's dangerous because you start, and the other problem is, even when people aren't offering you opinions, you know, you want to go around and see what other people are doing, but it's your weak, vulnerable moment. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I'm so far behind, or oh man, I'm never going to be that good, or I wish I was that good. You know, that kind of thing. Those voices, you know what I'm talking about. If you're tired, or maybe you're beaten down for some reason. That stuff is hard to shake, you know, forever. I think it does come up quite often.
And then sometimes you see some of these big YouTubers and you go look at their videos from 3-4 years ago, and you're like, that's kind of average. And then look where they are now. I mean, so anything can happen. So
yeah,
that's the dream of it.
Biggest thing is you dream and you have fun, and I think that's it. I think beyond that, I think your advice is always consistent about just get better at editing, get better at your content and editing, and the tools you need to
start too.
Yeah.
Start, like, get out there, start and do it. Because the more you think about it, you know, then you don't know. So at some point you want to know, right?
Yeah.
So, Patrick, good night.
Good night, man. We're heading out too. So I appreciate you, everybody, stopping in and on a Tuesday after the holiday, like such. And it was exciting to talk about vMix and Notions and what those are. And there'll be fun stuff ahead. And I appreciate
I love
John stopping in on me, and I'm sure you're probably tired from your first day back at work. But
I love vMix though.
Huh?
I love vMix.
vMix is so great. I'm really anxious to get involved, so I'm going to have to. That'll be something I'm going to be purchasing pretty quick. I'm committed to it. I think it's a great way to go, and if we're going to do stuff, why not have a good time? And you know, I'll have to eventually bump up to the higher package if I want to do some of things, but whatever. You start here, and then, you know, at least you got.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about them, though, right? They don't punish you if you if you get like the 350 package and then you start, they don't punish you when you upgrade to the next package. It's just the difference, you know?
Yeah, it's very much like a WordPress plugin model where it's like, oh, you bought it at 100, but if you want to go up higher level, it's just pay the difference.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of not having me stuck in a monthly thing, and I can grow. And it's such a professional tool. So I'm excited about that. And I'm sure there'll be more to be had. I'm actually very much looking forward to Thursday and the discussion about the signs and the analytics. I think that's something that I really, really like to get into. So looking forward to that, my friend.
Awesome.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate it. It was a good night. And I think it's time to head out and get some sleep, do our stuff.
You have outro music?
Yeah, let's do some outro. Let's see. What do we got here? Let's play a little. Yeah, there we go. Let's do that. You want to stay in? You want to stay in with the stream until we?
Sure, I don't care. Yeah.
I'll give you a minute or two, and then. Don't do that. That's there's only our wives left, so no one cares.
Come on, let's go.
Can you do the rope? Oh, don't do that.
Tell everyone that you want.
That's making me uncomfortable.
I can't see, I can't breathe, but we have.
Can you do the robots? God, I've never really seen this. Your mom's probably loving it. She's probably like, "Look at my boy dance." Can you do the centipede?
I used to be able to.
Come on, it's right behind you. You got a whole floor. Just drop down and. Oh man, I will find you and we will discuss. And it's good. There we go. Hang on. There we go. I had to list our boy there. We'll get it on, my brother. I appreciate it. All right, I'm going to dance you out here. All right, everybody. Thursday night, catch John and I, 8 o'clock. This is Central Time, so 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Over at Coffee Talk and Tech. John's going to hook us up on some statistics and signals and all that good stuff, which you can never get enough with YouTube. So, all right, everybody. I appreciate you stopping in.